Hi, my name is Mariana Marquez-Farmer, and I've been a type 1 diabetic now for 19 years. I was diagnosed at the age of 12, which was in August 2001. I'm here to tell you guys a little bit about the obstacles put in front of me as a POC type 1 diabetic. I'm first generation Mexican American. My parents came from Mexico, and I was born in California along with my older brother in a little town called El Centro, which borders Mexicali, which is the capital of Baja California. The biggest obstacle, and I mean there are many obstacles as a person with diabetes, but this particular one that really I can remember as I grew up, as I got diagnosed as a POC with type 1 diabetes is the language barrier. And this language barrier definitely is an obstacle for many first generation Americans whose parents' first language is not English. I mean, at the age of 12, you yourself are still learning the English language, or learning the bigger words of an English language. And with my parents, obviously, my mother speaks English, but it's broken up. She also had to learn these big terms that come along with being a type 1 diabetic, like bolus insulin, fast-acting insulin, rapid-acting insulin, carb counting. What does that mean? How does that affect your body? Like, what is type 1 diabetes? So this language barrier really created this inability for myself to obtain the resources, because I couldn't really communicate, and my parents couldn't really communicate what I needed using the terms that doctors use to describe type 1 diabetes. I mean, it really is a big issue, not being able to ask for help, ask for the resources to help pay for insulin, to help pay for groceries, to be able to have money to pay for your child's chronic illness. And that in itself is the beginning of my advocacy journey, is really as I look and I become a part of organizations that help push for advocacy and push for access to insulin, that give education on what type 1 diabetes is. There still is this big gap of helping children who are in America and whose parents don't understand these big terms and the ins and outs of asking for resources. It's definitely heartbreaking, and that's kind of where my journey is at right now, is really pushing for these interpreters to be there when a child gets diagnosed and whose parents aren't fluent in English, so that they can get the things they need to live a life fully, to live a life in which they don't have to worry about if they're going to eat, if they're going to go to bed hungry, if they're going to have clothes, if they're going to have a house, if they're going to have that liquid that keeps them alive. So I still see that that is something that we need to address when it comes to representation. It's definitely a different journey than those who are a type 1 diabetic, who are not first generation Americans. Not saying that it's any less of a journey. It's just another added obstacle put forth for individuals, POCs with type 1 diabetes. So if you guys want to follow me on my journey as I continue to push for policy and representations for first generation Americans, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Mariana T1D. You have any questions? If you'd like to know how I made it through, and how I communicate my needs and desires to my parents, so that they themselves learn till this day the different terms of my body and my chronic illness, please reach out. But keep the good fight. We still have a long way to go. So yeah, bye everybody.